When people talk about the top coasters in Europe, you usually don't hear Spain mentioned that much, and I'm here to kind of change that today. I'm going to show you 9 unique and fun coasters I discovered while taking a vacation in Spain last year. So let's dive in. First up, let's take a look at Montaña Suiza in the beautiful Basque country of Spain. This park is high atop a mountain overlooking the Riviera. I mean, this is just as beautiful as I've ever seen a theme park setting. So here's a POV of this incredible concrete roller coaster. Yes, this roller coaster is made of concrete with rails on it. So I'll stop talking and let you take a full ride on this really unique roller coaster. Next up, we have Dragon Con at Aventura. Now, this ride, if you grew up in the 90s, this probably was the best known international roller coaster if you were a fan of World's Greatest Roller Coaster Thrills in 3D like I was. Now, this ride is really good. It's essentially the Spanish version of Kumba. A little bit different, obviously a much different setting now with Shambala, the giant B&M Hyper, which we'll get to a little bit later, teaser. Running right through it, but the layout is very similar to Kumba, and much like Kumba, it is a really, really great ride. Showing its age a little bit more than Kumba, but has all those same elements, just that old school B&M energy where you go from crazy element to crazy element with really no downtime. Back kind of when B&Ms were much more forceful than some of the newer ones that are out there today. Next up, we're moving a few hundred feet or meters or yards, whatever is your preferred method of measurement, from Aventura to Ferrari Land next door for Red Force, this intimate LSM launch coaster. Similar to Top Thrill Dragster, just not as high, and it features LSM launch instead of a cable launch, so not nearly as fast or as much of a kick or thrust off the initial launch, but still awesome ride. One of the things that no one really talks about, what I was blown away with, this ride's at like the highest point of the park. And at the top, you're just looking straight out towards the Mediterranean. One of the best views. Aventura is probably the most well-known Spanish park. And for good reason. They have a lot of great roller coasters. That's why another one's on the list was Shambala. This giant B&M, ultra-sized hyper. Great airtime, great views. So Shambala is pretty crazy. It's 249 feet, but that second hill right there, behind the one it's coming down from now, has to be like at least 200. It's a mammoth ride. Really good, really liked it. Lots of big floater B&M airtime. You've been on a B&M Hyper, this is just it extra large, which is a good thing. To give you a perspective of the view of this ride, I mean, look at that. All right, this one's a weird one. Ramsay. It's not the best ride, but it's unique and it's the only one in the world, which is why it makes this list, because that's pretty cool. In action. Essentially, the front side is the only side that's been running, I think, in many years. It's very similar to, we joke about it being a boomerang, but very similar to a traditional boomerang. There's a cable you can see pulling you up, and you actually do get a pretty cool view because this park's on top of the tallest hill in town. The seats aren't very comfortable. Like, you can kind of see how anyone who's backwards right now is practically standing up. It really doesn't do anything. It looks cooler than it is. It just goes back and forth until it essentially putters out. So we'll be doing this for another 2 minutes. Some very weird car designs. Furious Backo Intamin Wing Coaster themed to drunken monkeys. That's right, drunken monkeys. The rides gets a pretty bad rap. I didn't think it was that bad. I did sit inside, not on the wing, so that might help. But overall, pretty fun ride. Where am I, you ask? I'm just at a wine bar. A wine bar that happens to be part of the exit for a roller coaster. Yes, you heard that right. That is the exit for Furious Backo. There's a wine shop in there and a wine bar connected to it. Next up, we head to Parque de Atracciones in Madrid. One ride makes the list from this park, Abysmo, this really funky Mauer Schoen coaster that takes you straight up, flips you upside down before flipping you right side up. Some crazy drops, some crazy airtime. So I didn't know what to expect with this ride, but I really enjoyed it. It was like one of the highlights of the trip so far. That was actually, that flipping upside down, holding you upside down, I thought was going to be a little too much, but it was really, really smooth and really cool. And then this airtime hill here, got a nice pop of airtime. Apologies for the sun, I can't, there it is. But really like that. It has the same restraints as Rip Ride Rocket or other Mauer Schoen coasters you've been on, which actually work really well for this kind of ride. I feel like it lets you have the freedom of the upper body to, put your hands up in the air, but it also holds you in nice and snug for that twisting first drop thing. Don't let the generic name fool you. This ride is located on top of a mountain overlooking Barcelona. Looks like a mine train, but the views bring it. What looks innocent enough, you're like, oh, it just seems like a slight terrain mine train. Yeah, just pan over and check out that view. Looks simple, amazing view. It's actually a pretty sizable first drop too. I don't even know where it went. It's somewhere. I hear a roar. Oh, but here it comes. So this ride's not making the list because it's the best ride. I put it on the list for two reasons. One, I want to include a ride from this awesome park, full video on our YouTube channel, one of my favorite parks out there. But also two, because this ride is the closest you're going to ever get to riding Son of Beast if you want to. That may or may not be a good thing. So a ride's not awful. It's just not great. It's not necessarily rough. The trains just bounce all over the place. I don't know what it is with RCCA and their love of giant helixes. I mean, that's basically all the ride is. It starts off with this twisted first drop. Feels very much, it reminds me of the original Rattler, if you had a chance to ride that. It'll merge in a second. Going around. the second helix. There's double helix over here. And it drops down and goes up. I let you guess what's over here. A double helix. What? Triple helix? Maybe? Depends on how you count. It doesn't do anything. There's no moments of airtime. Similar to the Rattler when you kind of just hop the quarry wall. There is a little section where there's like 3 bumps in a row. There's no airtime. They have mock-up of one of the ride cars here in the queue. The ejector seats. You don't like the ride, you eject. And that wraps up our look at the 9 craziest, most unique roller coasters in Spain. Showing a montage here of a few other ones that didn't quite make the list. If there's any roller coasters in Spain I'm leaving out, I know I didn't go on all of them, so there might be some I'm missing. Comment below, let me know. And if you're interested in learning more about any of the parks shown in the video today, we have full park tours of every single one. Just Google the park name plus In the Loop on YouTube, and you'll find those videos. Thanks for watching, guys.